Hi everybody, my name is Shannon. Welcome to my channel, Another Yarn. Thank you so much for joining me today. I greatly appreciate it. Did you guys see like my little urgent video yesterday that was popped up and everything? You know, it's like, oh my goodness, I got called out. Lori from the Armchair Chef called me out. If you don't know who Lori is a big part and the reason of me making my very first video on YouTube. And that was part of the Mystery Yarn Challenge. So I have been part of it ever since and really enjoying it. So there's this running joke that I don't like bulky yarns. Well, if you're here and you've listened to me for any length of time, then you probably already know that. It's not that I don't like them. I prefer other things more, right? And then if I don't use it, then it gives you the ability to hoard more, save, collect, connoisseur more of it, and you don't have to worry about competing with me. See, that I'm being loving. It's so loving and caring. I'm leaving the bulky for you. So this has been this running back and forth, so much so that I have purchased some mystery box from Lori, and she was all kinds of sneaky and put in some bulky weight yarn in there, because she wanted to see what I'd do with it. Well, joke's on her, I actually did use it. Ha! Not all of it, because she had a lot of fun. So, but here, I'm getting this bulky yarn. So, she threw down the gauntlet yesterday. Like, oh my goodness. She's like, all right, we got a challenge going on. All right, well, like, I'm not going to jump in on that. You just called me out in front of God and everybody. Of course I'm going to jump on that challenge. What are you thinking? So, we don't have all the details worked out yet. I had no forewarning of this. I had no knowledge of this. So, yeah. So, instead of me doing my typical dreaming of what to do with this, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I got this as a gift for my Mystery Yarn Challenge in my box. Deb sent this to me. Not saying last names because that's not polite. But I've got this gorgeous, look at this fingering weight yarn. It's fingering weight yarn. She sent me fingering weight yarn and it's hand dyed and it sparkles. I don't think it shows up. Oh yeah, look, it does show up. It does. Look, it sparkles. It's pretty. So instead of figuring out what I want to do with this because it's scrumptiousness. I mean, it's just amazing, right? I'm trying to work through my head going big stuff, big rope-like stuff, bulky stuff, things that take needles bigger than a size 8. What? Yes, I have them. My husband, when he saw this challenge, actually he heard it. We were listening to the video together. He was cracking up. He thought it was absolutely hilarious. He was getting such a big kick out of it. She's like, oh my God, she so called you out. Yeah, he thought that was hilarious. He's like, do you even have needles that would be big enough? Do you have hooks that would be big enough? Oh yeah, it's crochet. That's the other thing. It is a crochet challenge. So he's like, do you have anything big enough? Yes, I do. I've got crochet hooks and stuff. Don't mess with me. I have that. And he was like, is bulky yarn, is that when you use the knitting needles that are kind of like broom handles and stuff? You know, I'm like, yes, it is. He's like, you don't like that. No, but okay, we got this. It's okay. So instead of, you know, dreaming about this. Oh, speaking of this, this was part of my Mystery Yarn Challenge. I got some gorgeous yarns too that were all fingering weight. I started something, and people who are members of my channel, I'm going to do a sneak peek and they'll get a chance to see what I'm working on first on that, because I think that'll be fun. But instead of working on that, oh no, I'm looking at like stuff like this. Yeah, I know. It's bulky. It is. It says number 5. The rule is right now for me, I have to use a 5 or a 6. And look, that says bulky right there. It says it. It does. It's a bulky. Although I have a friend who's also in the peanut gallery commenting and going, that ain't bulky. You need to use a US 10 or bigger. I'm like, oh, don't you start with me. Don't you start with me. That's not fair. So yeah, using stuff like this. And you're like, why do you have that? Well, because it was on sale at Hobby Lobby for 99 cents and I'm a sucker. That's why I have it. Yeah, that's why I have it. I was going to give it to a friend and I never did, which I don't know why, but you know, that's okay. They have more yarn than I do. You know, and yeah, so I have this and I have used it. Want to see? You've seen it before. Oh wait, you can see it right there. See, look, that, see? This. I did. So there, I have knit with the bulky. That's what this is. This is the Bloom Chunky. And these little guys are the Bloom DK weight. And the reason I like all of these is because this is a good guide to when people say, hey, do a gauge swatch. And they're like, I ain't doing it. I'm not going to do it. Oh yeah, that's me. I don't want to do the gauge swatch. I don't want to do the gauge swatch. I have done them. I will do them on occasion, not always. And sometimes I pay the price because look, this is following the pattern to a T, both of them. Use different size yarn and different size needles appropriate for the yarn. I don't remember what size needles I used for either of them, but I mean, they were appropriate for the yarn. This is the Bloom DK. This is the Bloom Chunky. Okay, so just think about that when you're making your garment or your whatever, and it has to be a specific size, even a hat, right? If you're making a hat to fit a child and you're using the yarn like this, okay, or it calls for this to fit a child and you use this, it's going to fit an adult. Or if you're trying to make it for an adult and you change yarns, it's going to fit a child, right? So I personally don't care because I give a lot of them away anyway, and it'll fit somebody. But if you're making it for a specific somebody, it might matter. So yes, I do have chunky yarn. Yes, very, very little of it. Very, very little of it. So that is this thing that I have to come up with on top of everything else that I'm working on. We're going to work through all the details, and we'll get together and talk about that to see what we're doing to where it's not too stressful for either one of us, because Lori has a job. She works at the post office. If you didn't know that, she has a full-time job and she has other projects that she's doing. Well, I also have a full-time job and I have other projects that I'm doing. So we'll try to figure out a time constraint and everything. And she did float the idea, and I love it, of the finale showing up on a joint live between me and Lori, which we have talked about doing in the past, and we just haven't gotten around to arranging it. But I think that will be a lot of fun. That is really occupying my time at the moment. I mean, I did. You know how you're just going along in your day, whatever it is, whether it's craft related or work, or it doesn't really matter. And then somebody says something or somebody does something, and that is your focus. You were going down this path and they say something and you're like that. That's where I'm at right now. 100%. So I am going down the rabbit hole of patterns and everything. So if you have some suggestions and some ideas, that would be greatly appreciated for I think my constraints are a 5 or a 6 weight yarn, and her constraints are a 2 or 3 weight yarn. So that's a lot smaller than she's comfortable with. Now me, I have lots of that stuff. Like I've got a bunch of these, right? These cakes, oh yeah. You know, and depending on which one you look at, see, this one says it's a 1, but you know, I've got others that'll say that they're 2. Quite a few of these types of things. So I mean, I've got lots of stuff that would be, oh good, 2 weight, 3 weight, got it. But that's out of her wheel well. So we're going to see what happens. We're going to see what she comes up with and what I come up with. And that'll be a lot of fun. So give me some ideas. Give me some suggestions on what I should work on. I know she already said, and we haven't gotten all the parameters down, no hats. It's got to be something of substance, so no hat. But we'll have to get the parameters, because I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be the same like size item, you know, because obviously if you were making a garment in fingering weight yarn, which I do that, right? You know, if you were doing something like this thing that's needs sleeves, it still needs sleeves. One day it'll get sleeves. Maybe I can put like just put the ribbing on it and call it done and be like little kids sleeves. No, I have to do better, right? But you know, this is fingering weight, and this is the equivalent right now. Now, granted, it's 2 colors and everything, but 3, weighing it out, is 3 full 100-gram balls. That's 1,200 yards right here. Well, that's going to take a lot longer to and it's knit up. Again, the contest is crochet, but I mean, it's going to take a lot longer to crochet or knit something in fingering weight like this than it would in bulky. So we'll have to come up with some things to make it attainable for both of us, that is equitable, if that makes any sense, right? Kind of like the these things, right? It's not by size, like, hey, you have to make something at least 6 inches or 12 inches. You know, these are both the same work. This is both the same stitches, right? And these would both fall in the parameters, believe it or not. It really, no, too small. But this would definitely fall in for her size, right? DK weight. And this would definitely fall in for what my challenge is. So that'll be fun to come up with something larger, crocheted, and out there. And I don't know what that means. I don't know where that's coming from. I've gotten a couple of suggestions in the comments, and I would greatly appreciate some more suggestions, because bulky's out of my wheelhouse. It just is. That's just not. My husband commented earlier. He's like, yeah, no wonder you don't like bulky. You used to crochet with thread. Like, I did a lot. I learned how to crochet doing the doilies and the thread crochet and the number 10, the Aunt Lydia's number 10 crochet thread. And I had one of my aunts had commented, because I did a lot of the fine work. I really did. I really liked that when I was a lot younger. And I had crocheted her some snowflakes and stuff out of sewing thread, because I got the smaller steel crochet hooks. I don't think I would be able to do that necessarily today, but I did do that. I did that, you know, they weren't quite micro crochet, because there are some people that get into some stuff and it is crazy tiny and crazy good. But I did a lot of things like that. And he said, no wonder you gravitate towards the smaller yarns. So another reason I gravitate towards them, fun fact, is you can get a decent project out of a 100-gram ball, just one skein, German way, one skein of fingering weight yarn. Whether it's coming in a hank or a ball, skein, whatever it is, you're getting 400 and some odd yards. You can make a shawlette with that, a complete project with that one ball of yarn. And it's a nice project. It's not necessarily a little tiny project. You can make a pair of socks with that. You can make the hat with it. You can do the fingerless mitts, you know, with just, like I said, the one ball of yarn. So any type of traveling that I've done, you know, we seek out the yarn stores. We can smell them. I swear it. We can smell it. We can sense it. It's like, oh, we're driving around. There's a disturbance. There's a yarn store near me. There's a yarn store near me. Get Google out. What does Google say? There's a yarn store. I know it. My husband hates that when we're traveling. He does. He makes sure we pass the yarn stores when they're closed or we're at nighttime, and he promises me we'll get to them when we're traveling on our way back, but then he takes a different route. Oh, yeah, he's done that. He says it's not on purpose. I don't believe him. We're married over 30 years. I don't believe him. I think that he knows what he's doing. He might not do it intentionally. He knows. That man knows. He's smart. He's smart. He is. So my idea with that is the fingering weight or the sock yarn is easy to put into. If you're driving, you've got plenty of space, right? But if you're flying, you've got space constraints with your suitcase, things like that. You can always, it's like Jell-O. You can always squeeze one 100-gram ball of yarn in your luggage. It's like Jell-O. There's always room for one more. You just squish it. You just push it down. You got it, right? Take some gallon Ziploc bags and you get on your knees on that thing and everything. You squish it down. You suck all the air out and you let it go, and it's vacuum sealed. So you can do it. There you go. Packing tips. You got this. So I like the fingering weight yarn for that too, because instead of collecting things on trips, you know, my mom had plates. She liked the plates. Some people collected the thimbles or the shot glasses, even if they didn't drink, but they collected a shot glass from every state they went to. I would collect a ball of yarn from, you know, if we went around or different states, or hey, I've never been to this yarn store. We're passing another state. There's a yarn store and it's open, right? So one skein of sock yarn could make an actual project. Whereas if I were looking for the larger yarns, maybe a sweater quantity, well, that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, and it takes up a lot more space. And if I'm not preparing to make a sweater right away, that's a lot of equity right there in that one spot, right? Finances, space, the whole 9 yards just to sit on my shelf. But the fingering weight yarn, it's still doing the same thing. I get it, but it's only one ball, right? So that was my logic. You might think it's twisted, and that's okay. But I convinced myself of that. Yeah, that's where that goes. Yeah, that's 100%. I have definitely convinced myself of that. And I think that's a good part of the reason why I just love that weight of yarn so much. But like I said, I'm trying to branch out. I'm trying to get into a little bit bigger. The last couple times I've gone shopping for yarn, beeline for the fingering, I'm not going to lie. I'm not even going to tell you that that's not the case, because of course it is. But I've set it back down. I have. I'm like, it's okay. You don't have to take it home. It's not an orphan. It's okay. It's fine. Somebody else will love it. You don't have to give it a home. And I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to make with other yarns that are not fingering weight yarn. Yeah, it's kind of like a 12-step program, right? I don't think I'm doing well, but there you go. There, that's it. I think part of the blankets that I'm working on is really helping as far as that goes, trying to do that, seeing the progress and the bigger things. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, that is where I'm at. That is my 100% thought process. Completely derailed what I was planning for today and what I was planning to talk about with everybody today, but that is okay. That'll just be another conversation for another day. So with that, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. You guys have a great day, night, evening, whatever it happens to be, and I will talk to you again later. Bye-bye.